This video asks and answers the most commonly asked questions when it comes to making a successful claim for mandatory reconsideration. It's jam-packed full of handy hints and tips that will help you to win your claim. There are some tips that you might not have heard before. Let's get going. The video will answer the following questions. What is a mandatory reconsideration? How long will I have to submit my claim? What is the procedure for claiming, and is there anything that I should avoid? Can I skip the mandatory reconsideration stage? It feels like a waste of time. How many people win at the mandatory reconsideration stage? Who wins, and how can I win my mandatory reconsideration? How long will I wait for a decision? What if I lose my mandatory reconsideration? Mandatory reconsiderations are the first stage of an appeal. If you believe that an incorrect decision was made at the assessment stage of your PIP claim, you can ask the DWP to look at their decision again to see if it was wrong. If the DWP decision maker decides in your favour, you will win your claim at the mandatory reconsideration stage. You will normally have to ask for a mandatory reconsideration within 1 month of the date of the decision. But you can have up to 13 months if you have a good reason. For example, you've been in hospital or had a bereavement. There are 3 ways that you can start your mandatory reconsideration. The first is to download a claim form from the internet. Simply type Mandatory Reconsideration Request Form into your Google search. The second is to write a letter. You should explain the reasons why you believe the decision is incorrect. Be sure to write your national insurance number on every sheet so that it all ends up in the right file at the DWP. The third way is to telephone the DWP, but don't do it. It is possible to submit the whole application whilst you are on the phone, and the operator will assume that that is what you want. The problem is that the operator might not be on your side, and you will have no clue what notes they are taking about you. Now then, does that look like a friendly face? No, you can't skip the mandatory reconsideration stage. It is compulsory, and the tribunal won't hear your case until you have completed the mandatory reconsideration procedure. In any case, you want this stage even though you may not think so. It's another layer of opportunity to win. Approximately 25% of people win at the mandatory reconsideration stage. And in a typical year, between 70 and 80% of people win at the tribunal. It could be you, so don't give up hope. Watch the next segment instead. This This segment of the video looks at the types of claims that tend to win at the mandatory reconsideration stage. It also provides a couple of tips to boost your chances. The claimants that win at this early stage of the appeals process tend to fall into three categories. Category 1 is concerned with those claimants that have strong new evidence that the DWP has not seen before. So, is there any evidence that you didn't send, or can you get a doctor's letter? Remember, and this is important, now that you have been able to read the reasoning of the assessor in their written statement, you have a much better idea of the cause of the problem. And you can tell your doctor what it is. That makes it easier for your doctor or key worker to write a targeted letter that addresses the specific problem. Category 2 concerns claimants that are only claiming points on one descriptor, and the evidence is so clear that the DWP decision maker can feel completely confident that your assertions are correct. Category 3 is where the DWP decision maker has made an obvious and factual error. For example, whilst their report says that they have awarded 2 points, they have mistakenly ticked the 0 point box. Overall, therefore, and this is another important point, if the DWP decision maker can't be absolutely sure that you are entitled to the benefit, then it is likely that you will lose your mandatory reconsideration. The thing is that if there are any questions left to be answered, then only the tribunal can ask those questions. The good news is that losing the mandatory reconsideration does not mean that you will lose at the tribunal. It might merely mean that your case requires further investigation. In my experience, claimants typically wait for more than 6 weeks for a decision about their mandatory reconsideration. It's a long road, but the DWP will often message you a final date by which you should have heard. If you lose at the mandatory reconsideration stage, you will have to submit your case to the tribunal. It's a difficult and bewildering path, but lots of people win at the tribunal. Please look out for my videos on how to build a strong case for the tribunal. I wish you all the very best with your PIP appeal.